What up, y'all? It's your boy Tay, back with another vlogcast. I hope everything is going well with you. Blessings to everybody listening. Thank you very much. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. That's the like button. Hit the subscribe. I told you I'm going to be coming out with the episode each week. At least one each week. All right. So on this one, I'm going to address basically two things. One, I kind of want to do a short addendum on what I talked about last week. The title of last week's episode was Sex is for the Woman, or for the Woman. So this is going to be a short addendum, okay? So I was saying sex is for the woman because if you don't handle your business as a man, she's going to cheat, period. To me, that's an indicator that women need good D. Good D evens them out. As a man, you could be lacking in areas like finances, but if the sex is hidden, if the sex is great, you'll have her for a little bit of time, man. You know, you may have her for years, actually. But I doubt selfish lovers will ever learn this. You know, and as a man, I say sex is for the women because you got to have more productive things to do. I mean, if you just going to be a sexual object for this woman, you know, boy toy and whatnot, and she hitting you with that bread for you to do that, man, believe me, I am not knocking your hustle, man, at all. I just think that as a man, one would want to be comprehensive in his manhood, not just, one strength. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to note with that addendum was that, when a woman spends significant time around simps and tricks, I could understand how she would come to the conclusion that all men want is sex. That's not to mention that porn is a $1 billion industry. And sex is used to sell us food, cars, video games, even get our booties to the polls. Remember that one? Now, on the flip side, as a woman, if your reputation and what you advertise to the world is predominantly of a sexual nature, what kind of attention do you realistically expect to garner? Men will flock to you with lustful intentions. And believe me, I understand men are going to do that regardless. But there is a manner in which a woman can carry herself with some modesty. And it'll make men think twice before disrespecting that woman or only coming at her with sexual intentions. Some women exude the aura of being more thorough, where you can't view them or engage them as sexual objects, partly because they're not for sale and because sex isn't all they know and or talk about. So I just want to drop that addendum first before I get into something else that has been on my mind for probably 20 years. And it's a topic that is very big. And depending on who you talk to, you get a multitude of different answers and different conversations. But people go right back to what they've been doing. And so the topic, the question that I ask myself and others, I ask you, the listening audience, how come so many black people continue to support the government as it is today? Do you know what I mean? Like, how come we don't question the financial system and then act on what we know by trying to change something? Why do we continue to be relegated to two political parties which are really working together and they're not offering you anything different? Like, they're on the same team. These people golf together. These people know each other's kids, man. They go into Bohemian Grove together. All right. I'm laughing, but I'm so for real. Now, let's look at black folks. Let's look at ourselves, all right? Because we're not a monolith. And I don't want to do this podcast and just erase history and the things that we've already put out there and tried to do. So we've had people and organizations that leaned more socialist, like Black Panthers. We had Garveyism from Marcus Garvey, which was a movement to get us back to Africa so that we could govern ourselves. We have the Nation of Islam with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which talks about having a segment of America to ourselves so we can govern ourselves within the country. And we'd be asking America for that, essentially. We have the MOVE organization out of Philadelphia. You all know that. Whose most well-known member is political prisoner Mumia Abu-Jamal. They got bombed by the police. You should look them up. Their platform, to my understanding, was one of environmentalism and anarchy, if I'm not mistaken. If you know better how to describe that, please put it in the comments. I've done my limited amount of reading about it over the years. But my question today in 2023 is, have we been beaten into submission? Are we tapping out of this political, mental, and spiritual armbar? I mean, we don't have to think that hard about what the government has done to us. Let's start with slavery, right? If any of my dates are wrong or names, I'm not a historian, though I've read history, but my mind isn't stuck there. But with slavery, started in 1619, right? How is somebody going to tell you, a human being born with inalienable God-given rights, that you can or cannot be in control of your own time, your own body? You can't seek knowledge through reading. They're going to force you to put your culture and beliefs aside to adopt theirs. And you're going to work until you drop. This is something that, remember when Kanye West a few years ago, he said slavery was a choice. Now, knee-jerk reaction was to be upset, right? You mad at that. But when you look at history, you see that during the transatlantic slave trade, everybody wasn't going. Some of those ships were overthrown. Some people opted out with suicide, tried to jump overboard. Then you had people on this continent that fought back. You know, you had things like the Gullah Wars and people like Nat Turner, okay, who got fed up with the BS once they realized what it was. With slavery, all it has done from the point where, Abraham Lincoln supposedly let us free. First off, can't nobody let you free. Okay? Because they don't have the right to imprison you in the first place. So letting us free, hey man, that ain't really a favor. But since that point till now, there has still been ongoing oppression. And while We may be socially integrated. We're not economically integrated. The same few black millionaires are paraded in front of you, in front of us, year after year, right? And those people, along with us, the working class, or wherever you may be, even if you in prison, all of that is different levels of slavery. All of it. Somebody tell me how I could be wrong. It's all different levels, because at the end of the day, you're not controlling what you do. You got somebody over you, right? Now, you do got, a few individuals like Byron Allen, right? Dude is a billionaire. But even he has to contend with racism, because he had a court case just a couple of years ago where they weren't giving his networks a fair opportunity at showing ads and advertising. So even he has to contend with that. Okay? Not only that, but he has to answer to the crooked court system. See, when I look at slavery and the government, I tend to get down to the core and the gist of it. And what I look at is it's an entity or a group of people imposing their will on other people. Now I'm talking directly to black people, but I could be talking to everybody. But see, everybody's pit against one another. Everybody's pit against one another on purpose. And it's so we don't look towards the people that control society. It's so that we look at each other as the problem. And that's even with racism. But I want to go back to the things that black people have suffered, because I want to know why we have this Stockholm syndrome going on. And I hate when I see individuals sucking up to anybody in politics. Whether it be Trump, if you a black Trump supporter, or if you love Biden, or any politician. Don't we know that they're puppets? And I know we don't. That's why I'm saying it now, because many of us don't even realize that they are puppets, and they continue to try to make you feel guilty for not voting by saying your people died for the right to vote. I'm pretty sure, great grandpa Brackett did not want to be murdered to be able to vote. I'm sure he would have chosen to go out another way if he knew he was going to be killed for it, because it ain't worth it. Somebody please name me a president that did something major for us besides, I guess, Abraham Lincoln. Seriously. And see, I used to be into politics, arguing with people and, expressing my right to vote and all of that. But I've said this to so many people over the decades. It remains true today. I don't care who the president was at any given time that I've been alive. The hood has remained the same. The police have remained the same. I don't see why black people aren't anarchists, because we see how the government treats us, man. They think that they have complete, utter control and impunity to treat us however they want. And what's sad to see is that we go for it. Not enough black people got their guns up and their minds together to even break out of this brainwashing. Authority is not real. Another man that can't have authority over you. Now, somebody can beat you in a fight, but that still doesn't mean they have authority over you. Now, they can put you in bondage, physical bondage. Yes, they can make life uncomfortable. We've seen this. They can kill you. But the reverse is true as well. You can kill them. I don't care if they got a badge. I don't care if they got an office. I don't care if they got a title. See, that's all a part of the brainwashing. Believe me, I'm not advocating for violence. I don't want violence. It's ugly. But it's the morally right thing to do when it's in defense of your liberty and of your person or of your family or an innocent person. These things are the right thing to do. Of course, for black people, they've been selling the opposite to you since you came in the country. They've been trying to give you the Bible, tell you to turn the other cheek. Meanwhile, what are they doing? Do they turn the other cheek? Hell no. They try to make you feel guilty. Now, on a previous podcast, I mentioned the canary in the coal mine, and I've said that about black people. We are the canary in the coal mine. I'm not the first person to say that. Other people have said that. It's an old saying. But I want to read to you where that adage comes from. And I'm looking at Google. What does it mean to be the canary in the coal mine? I'm reading this because I want you to thoroughly understand what I mean when I say that. And it's going to hit you on a deep level. Look, canary in a coal mine. Something whose sensitivity to adverse conditions make it a useful early indicator of such conditions. Something which warns of the coming of greater danger or trouble by a deterioration in its health or welfare. So look, well into the 20th century, coal miners brought canaries into coal mines as an early warning signal for toxic gases, primarily carbon monoxide. The birds, being more sensitive, would become sick before the coal miners, who would then have a chance to escape or put on protective respirators. This makes me think of the Tuskegee experiment, or Henrietta Lacks, or J. Marion Sims, who is the father of gynecology. Who did he practice on? Who were his canaries in the coal mine? African slaves. Father of gynecology. Yeah. So, anything that is imposed upon us, it's almost like an experiment, man, for the larger population. Right? So we got to be aware of that as well. And I would extend that notion to people outside of the so-called black community. You better wake up, because you next, especially if we leave. Now, on the other side of it, if we wake up, I guarantee you everybody else going to follow suit. Because look at it. With the culture that we have today, our mainstream culture, our people have come from slavery and degradation, and we've moved our way up just a little bit, working class. We got some millionaires and stuff like that. But the culture that has kind of usurped mainstream American culture is the ghetto culture that black people have come up with. Okay? Largely black people have created this ghetto culture that's risen out of poverty and everybody's biting off of it. Everybody's doing it. The music, the dress, the lingo. All right. Could you imagine if we loved ourselves, if we loved each other, and that became mainstream? Because whatever it is about us, our influence is heavy. We may not have any political power, but the influence from our style is unmatched. It is unmatched. We know how to make things cool. Can we make loving each other cool? Can we make being autonomous, being a sovereign individual, can we make that cool? Now, that takes a whole remixing of the mind and what you're conditioned to think, and what you get from school, the indoctrination. We're indoctrinated to think that the system works or that we can change it from the inside. No, the system's going to change you first. Trust me. It's going to change you first. It's too much bureaucracy. It's too much red tape, too much hierarchy, too much infrastructure that you would have to go through to just change everything. It's not going to happen, especially when you're fighting against a system that the real control is not superficial. Like, you don't see the people that really control all this. You don't see them on TV every day. You see the puppets on TV every day. You see the brainwashed individuals on TV every day. You don't see the hidden government, so to speak, the occult. And I know when you hear that word occult, people are trained to think conspiracy theory. Every conspiracy is not a theory. Shit, the real conspiracy theory is that these people aren't working against you and they're working for the betterment of your life. Like I said, I just mentioned slavery. Hey, we can move on to eugenics. Talk about Margaret Sanger, Bill Gates' father. Okay? Eugenics was a whole pseudoscience. They came out with books. They had so-called people educated in this pseudoscience. A pseudoscience means that it's BS. It's not even real. It's like if I was an expert in Santa Claus. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Except it was dangerous because it fueled the separation of races. It fueled racism. Even Hitler was influenced by American eugenics. So if you're not familiar with eugenics, you should look it up. I had books where they would draw the skulls, like different shaped skulls, typical skulls of different so-called races. And they would say that the different attributes that these races had correlated with them being deficient in one way or another compared to your average white person. But even with white people, depending on their skull shape and facial features, they could be considered like a lower caste. Okay? So essentially, anybody that's willing to accept this, I question your balls. I question your testicular fortitude, man. Now, believe me, I've been there where I didn't know this information and I was kind of lost in the sauce. But even then, I've never been one to just bow to authority. I mean, for someone to be able to make you do something, you know what I mean? and you look at them as greater than you. I can't get with it. And isn't it ironic that a white man, Patrick Henry, said, "Give me liberty or give me death. Give me liberty or give me death." Like I said, that's what Kanye West was saying, in my opinion. You know? But see, you're afraid of liberty when you're brainwashed. When you're brainwashed to think things are better with Massa taking care of everything and giving me my rations for the day. Shoot, man, I even question how somebody gonna tell me how much I need to be paid for my work. Man, I question that. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with the 40-hour work week. I don't look at money as everything because it's not even real. If people's belief in money disappeared, money would be useless. And let me go a step further. If the Federal Reserve devalued the American dollar, it would be worth nothing. Then you would have to focus on resources. That's why they don't teach you farming in school, you know, for the large majority of the nation. That's why they try to patent seeds. I shouldn't even say try. They are patenting seeds so that you can't just get them and grow them as you want. Or I should say they're patenting the DNA of the seed. There's documentaries on that. This is all so that you have to rely on the government, which for black people never treated you fairly, never treated you right. So why do you love it so much? I know they put our back against the wall, and so we joined the military. Shoot, all the men in my family before me, pretty much military. You know, from my father to my grandfathers on both sides, like almost all of my uncles, great grandfather. Man, I could keep going, you know. And that was to have a better life. I understand it. But damn, man, you know, we want to put on a uniform for the enemy, the person that hates us, so that we can kill who they want to kill, which is more people like us. And then here on this very soil, you know, we'll kill each other over $5. We'll kill each other over a woman. We'll kill each other over some words, or you stepped on my shoe, or you bumped into me, or you're frowning at me, or gang signs. We're wearing different colors. Meanwhile, you know, the system is getting 2 for 1, baby. What's that? A BOGO in the store, buy one, get one free? Yeah, because when you kill your brother or your sister, one is in the grave and one is going to prison. Now you are going to be a slave. Now, see, the thing with eugenics, it's population control as well. It's not just stereotyping, it's population control. Like I said, it influenced Hitler. What was he doing? He was wiping out the Jews. What do you think they're doing to you today? Except, see, when they brainwash you, they put you on automatic. They don't have to get their hands dirty. All they got to do is pick up the bodies, do an autopsy, get the organs, and get it back to you. Let you bury your loved ones. Let you bury your so-called enemies. That man ain't your enemy, man. Y'all may have issues, but they didn't put you in this situation. Okay? We are looking at what's happening today, right now, and not understanding that it's been centuries that got us to this place. Centuries of oppression that got us here. Centuries of brainwashing that got us here. I suggest maybe getting into some meditation, getting into trying to undo the colonization of your mind. Think about who you are, not who you're supposed to be, or not who this country defines you as. Don't identify with just the physical. Now, this is going to sound crazy. If nothing I say it sounds crazy already. You are not just black. Huh? You are not just male or female. What? You are not just a teacher or a Crip or a Blood or folks or a Mo. You are not American. Okay? What I'm getting to is the divinity within you. You are a part of God consciousness. You are a part of this universe. You have a soul which is infinite. When you die, you are transitioning back into the infinite. When your body dies. What am I trying to get you to say, to think? This body, it is yours. Take care of it. Someone else should not be able to control you mentally or via remote. It's like somebody got a remote on y'all, man. And they got y'all on murder, death, kill, sex, and killing each other. This is all eugenics. I hope somebody understand what I'm saying. And I know I'm babbling for 30 minutes, but man, like I said, for 2 decades, I've been saying it and I've been trying to explain it. I've been learning about it and trying to tell people, we gotta stop. And I almost think it's because we're too identified with the physical. Things like love, that's beyond the physical. But it encompasses the physical too. Things like care. See, sometimes I feel like when we say, man, love your brother, that's too far. People ain't ready for that yet. Just care for them. Just care. Because the way we see love is twisted. And I'm not going to get into that, but just care for each other. Care for yourself. If we're all a part of God consciousness, then we're not separate. And like I said, I'm talking about black people right now, but this really, it extends beyond that. But it to the universe, there's a duality. There's the so-called good and the so-called bad. And depending on where we are in our consciousness, we can be on either side. But the universe gives us all breath. All right? I'm just trying to encourage you to think beyond. Nobody should be controlling you. Shit. I feel like, what I've learned through my readings spiritually is probably the ultimate sin is imposing yourself on one another, imposing your will on someone else without their consent. Now, see, the thing is, when you vote for people and you talk about you want to join the armed forces and be a policeman and all of this, you're giving your consent. And so any negative karma resulting from the regime that they've put forward, that you're now joining or you're now saying is okay, you're going to reap that. Why? Because you the front line. You are the front line. Like I said, you the canary in the coal mine. So you think you're going to be forgiven for all the dirt you did? Nah. Because you had a choice. And because the information is out here. And believe me, I can't sit on any high horse. I'm doing what I can, and I'm trying my best to know these things. And, they say you know better, you do better. I'm trying to do better. I really am. But, I may bank with certain institutions that had slaves. And I'm trying to learn what I can do different to get myself further away from the system. Because when you give into it, you empower it. And in a lot of ways, black people, we even pay for our own oppression by who we continue to give our money to. We can look at smaller instances, such as the Colin Kaepernick situation. Black people continue to watch the NFL. So many black NFL players did not stand with him. And it just shows you how pussified everybody is. And if they weren't cowards, then they were idiots. Point blank, period. You're either stupid or you're scared. That's the way I see it. Because if you disagree with him and what he did, you got to be one or the other. Please tell me that if there's an in between. And if you're such a fan of the game that you can't give leeway for somebody to quietly express and protest about police brutality, and you got a problem with that, or you stand by and you're quiet, I don't even know what to say for you. Now, granted, that's easy for me to say because I didn't really watch the NFL like that, but it just gave me another reason not to. Think about Kyrie Irving. He said some things. Actually, he didn't even say anything. He posted a link to a movie. He encouraged people to watch a documentary. That's basically shutting down that man's free speech for a job. And believe me, I understand it. I get it. You, in a way, represent that agency. You represent the NBA. But at the same time, in my opinion, black people are supposed to have his back. Period. And the fact that they, certain people like, I think Stephen A. Smith, tried to speak out against him and all of this BS, it's just a shame because these people are controlled. They don't really have a mind of their own. They're brainwashed by the system. Completely brainwashed by the system. They want to be taken care of by daddy. Or Zaddy. They want to be taken care of by Zaddy. And I just can't get down with that, man. We really need to struggle for sovereignty, for freedom, for liberty in all areas. But you got to liberate your mind in this physical space, in this physical realm. Liberate your mind. Like I said earlier, look past your conditioning. Even with religion. I remember this quote. They say, religion is a tradition, not a decision. Now, personally, I'm not religious. To me, no one is closer to God than anyone else besides someone who is intentionally doing evil acts. But no one is closer to the Most High. Now, you may have more information, worldly information and knowledge on the topic, on the situation. And yes, I can humble myself to listen to that. How else would I have got to where I'm at now as far as my spiritual understanding? But most of it is you doing the work internally. And when we get into, spirituality, what about the action part? So many black people believe in God. Let's start with Christianity, Catholicism, or, Baptist church, whatever the denomination you are. All right. Do you actively practice those principles? I don't know about you, but I think it is good to have the notion that you can be forgiven for what you do wrong. But I think it's a bit of a misconception, or I shouldn't say misconception. It's a bit dubious when you think you should be able to take advantage of that. Because you know what you're doing wrong. And if you know God knows. Come on, man. You can't hide. But you're just going to say sorry and it's all right, huh? I think y'all need to reevaluate that. Reevaluate what you're doing out here. But before I get off into a spirituality tangent, I was really focusing on the political piece, which extends into money. And money is everybody's biggest religion, unfortunately. People believe in money before they believe in God or anything like that. It's the purse first. I can't blame anybody for being born into the brainwashing or school brainwash you, but once you get grown, we got to start to see things for what it is. And then based upon that understanding, make changes. Like I said, when you play into the system, you give that system power. And that's political, that's financial, etc. But shoot, man, this is the longest podcast I've done solo to date. So I'm going to leave it here. I hope that I said something that will spark a conversation or spark what they term activism, which to me is really just living and being conscientious about your living. Hopefully you guys think about it, talk about it, comment. Please give a like, share, subscribe. I hope to talk about more topics like this and others. Hit me up in the comments section if you think you'd like to hear me speak on a different topic or something specific. I appreciate y'all listening to me. Thank you for the likes. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. And peace out. Hit me up next week.